Welcome to MetaMagics. This is part of the character build series where we build a character from level 1 up that has a specific focus on either a set of mechanics, a kind of archetype, or a specific kind of flavor. And we build them in the strongest, most efficient way that we can. Today, we're going to go into a playstyle that's a personal favorite of mine, another charisma character, the Talker. Your time to shine is outside of combat, and you can run up to some DM's limits with this kind of a build, especially if they're a newer DM. If you have a DM that can go as deep as any player wants to go and gives their players opportunities to do their thing, then this is one of the most fun characters you will ever play. Now, onto the build. For consistency's sake, we're always going to use a 27 point buy for abilities and use only published Wizards of the Coast content. So, for our race, we want to boost our charisma as fast as possible, and the phrase silver-tongued devil is just a flavor win for us, so we'll be choosing a tiefling. We will be doing a custom lineage version of a tiefling though, but if you want to stick to the player's handbook variant, no problem. If you do that, I would pick the bloodline of Dispotter for both the synergistic spell-like abilities and the boosted dex, which is great. For our custom tiefling though, we will be picking a small size with the 30-foot speed, which is just a free buff, and we will boost our charisma by 2. We'll get dark vision up to 60 feet, and 1 feat of our choice, which we will get to in a moment. Abilities. Charisma character, we're going to be talking a lot, so we want to max out charisma. Being a character who does their best outside of combat, we want to survive, and we will have the biggest impact by helping all of our other friends and party members do their thing better. So we're going to be in a support role in combat and taking the lead outside of combat. So our point buy is going to be an 8 in strength, 14 in dex, 12 in con, 8 in intelligence, a 14 in wisdom, and a 15 in charisma. With the racial adjustments, that's going to raise our charisma to a 17, and with the feat we choose, we should be able to start with an 18 in charisma. At level 1, we need to choose our feat. One that raises our charisma, like we just said, and we have several good ones to choose from. Telepathy. You gain the ability to speak to people, secretly, within 60 feet of you. The things you say telepathically are in a language you know, but the target must also know that language for it to be understood. The target cannot respond telepathically back to you. It's not the message spell. The creative potential for this ability is huge. Let me give you some examples. You can warn the party of things you learn or see while at a dinner party. You can talk to people silently while pulling off a heist or an ambush. Meaning like you're telling the other party members, guards are coming around the corner without having to whisper or cast a spell or do anything. You can say things to 2 different NPCs to start a fight between them or to influence them politically. You can try to drive an NPC mad by bombarding them with words in Infernal that it doesn't understand, and now it hears devil voices inside of its head. Possibilities are only limited by your imagination and how adaptable your DM is with playing along with all the shenanigans you're trying to pull. Second ability of telepathy is you can cast Detect Thoughts as a spell-like ability once per long rest. If talking to the people in their heads wasn't enough, now you can hear their thoughts and their reactions to what you're telling them. Is someone lying? You'll hear it. Is something worrying someone? Is it on the front of their mind? You'll hear it. If someone is trying to trap or betray you, you might be able to hear it. Is someone attracted to something or someone? You'll hear it. Is someone ripping you off in a sale? You'll hear it. This is one of those open-ended spells that just has so much utility, and it is perfect for the kind of character that we're building. Other honorable mentions of feats: telekinetic, move things with your mind. actor, advantage on deception and performance to pass yourself off as someone else, and some mimicking abilities. Or Fey Touched, where you learn Misty Step and a first level enchantment or divination spell. All fantastic options. If you think one is going to be more useful in the campaign you will find yourself in, feel free to take one of those. Just make sure you boost, outside of actor, make sure you boost charisma. So, first class level. We're going into Rogue. Why Rogue? Simply put, expertise. At level 1, our damage potential is very decent with the extra 1d6 on our first attack. And we also coincidentally learn Thieves' Cant, which could allow you, if your DM plays this way, to integrate and communicate with the criminal underground in your world. At level 1, we want to put our proficiencies in Deception, Insight, Perception, and Persuasion. We get Expertise, and we're going to put that in Deception and Persuasion to get double our proficiency modifier in those skills. So, with a Charisma at 18, that gives us a +4, and a +2 proficiency, any Deception and Diplomacy check we engage in has a +8. +4 from Charisma, +2 from Proficiency, +2 from Expertise. A DC 10 check, we have a 95% chance of passing. A DC 15, 70%. A DC 20, 45% chance of success. DC 25, 20% chance of success. At level 1. Now, there is a back and forth, depending on how political you'll get, where people will try to manipulate and deceive you back. We have a +4 right now to sniff out deception and manipulation. That gives us a 75% chance at a DC 10. At a DC 15, that's a 50%. DC 20, 20%. And we do not stand a chance if they get a DC 25 lie on us, which shouldn't be happening at level 1. But in case it does, you're gonna believe it. Level 2. We're going straight to Bard, and we're going to stick with Bard for a little while until we get to the Bardic College. With a level in Bard, we have access to spells. We can give our allies inspiration, and we become a stronger support utility player for the party. We can also pick up another skill proficiency. Depending on the campaign you find yourself in, I would choose either Intimidation or Stealth if you find yourself sneaking around a lot more than just talking. Cantrips you should choose, I would say Message, fantastic spell, and Mage Hand, also a fantastic spell. All utility here. Your time to shine is outside of combat. Do not worry about not having a Firebolt or an Eldritch Blast. That's not your thing as this character. First level spells, I would grab Bane, Command, Disguise Self, and Fairy Fire. These are useful both inside and outside of combat. Command and Fairy Fire especially. Disguise Self is fantastic outside of combat, especially if you want to dress up as one of the guards to sneak in somewhere. Fantastic spell to have. Level 3. Second level in Bard, we're going to learn another spell. We also add half of our proficiency to all of our skills that we aren't already proficient in, which is a huge buff for a non-combat character like us. The extra spell that I would learn is either Comprehend Languages or Speak with Animals. Speak with Animals could be a really fun spell, especially at these lower levels, like level 3. So let's say you're at a dinner party and you find there's a mouse running around on the ground. You can ask the mouse some questions of maybe some things that he heard, some weird things that he found. Is someone eating something interesting? Is someone doing drugs? The mouse might know. Is there a house cat? The house cat's probably watching everything going on and knows, who's familiar, who's not. Street cats, very similar thing. Dogs probably want to talk. It's a fun spell that you, again, with a good flexible DM who doesn't just punish you for doing anything, will be like, that's clever, this is fun, I will absolutely, feed this. Speak with Animals is a really fun spell. Comprehend Languages is also just good, especially if you are in a lot of traveling going on, or you go into dungeons or other spaces where, all the languages are different. Level 4, we are going to be Rogue 1 and Bard 3, and we get to choose our college. Here we will be choosing College of Eloquence. We learn another spell, we gain access to second level spells, which is great. We gain another set of expertise, really great. And we get 2 huge buffs from the College of Eloquence. So for our second level spell, I would say we pick up Invisibility. The sheer utility of this spell sets it above all the others. You can cast it on yourself, you can cast it on your allies. It is a fantastic spell, both inside and outside of combat. The second expertise that we get, put it in Insight and Perception. This way we can sniff out when people are lying to us or they're trying to sneak something past us. From College of Eloquence at level 3, we also get 2 features, Silver Tongue and Unsettling Words. Silver Tongue, any persuasion or deception check we make, we can treat the roll as a 10 at a minimum. This is what we came here for. At level 4, you are negotiating and manipulating like a character twice or more your level. All simple lies, distractions, bartering, and favors should be successful and a piece of cake. In the second feature, Unsettling Words, as a bonus action, you could spend a Bardic Inspiration to choose 1 creature within 60 feet, take a penalty to their next saving throw equal to the number you roll on that die. So if you have a big bad and someone's about to cast a spell, whether it's like Hold Person or Dominate Person, something really impactful and you really want that spell to succeed, you use a bonus action, you roll your inspiration die, and they get a minus equal to that die rolled on that next check. It's a pretty nice feature. It can really come in handy during boss fights. Let's check our numbers. We have a Charisma at a +4, Wisdom at a +2, our Proficiency is still at a +2 until next level. So we have a +8 to all of our deceptions and all of our persuasions that we engage in. Plus, we cannot roll under a 10. That means our lowest possible roll is an 18 at level 4. That is fantastic. DC 10s, 100% success. DC 15s, 100% success. All the way up to DC 18, 100% success. DC 20, we're still at a 45. And a DC 25, we're still at a 20% success. That is still really good for a level 4 character. To sniff out all the deceptions and manipulations sent our way during our conversational combat, if you will, we have an 85% chance at DC 10s, 60% at DC 15s, 35% at DC 20s, and a 10% chance to sniff out DC 25 lies. That's pretty good. At level 5, we have a decision to make. You can either take another level in Rogue and make a beeline for our second subclass, so you can get there by level 6, or what we're going to do here is you take one more level in Bard so that we can get an ability score increase, which I think has a little more benefit than going straight into the next subclass. So, our proficiency increases from being a level 5 character. We get an ability score increase, which we're going to buff up our charisma to a 20 and max it out. We learn another cantrip. I would suggest Vicious Mockery. And then we learn another spell. I'm going to do something a little unorthodox here. I'm going to say that you drop Comprehend Language or Speak Animal, whichever you picked a couple of levels ago, and you're going to pick up 2 second level spells. One being Detect Thoughts, and one being Hold Person. Now, if you already took the Telepathic feat at the beginning, at level 1, you don't need to take Detect Thoughts. You can take Enhance Ability instead, which would be a really good support for both you and your allies inside and outside of combat. So, at level 5, let's look at our numbers, because a lot of things have changed. Our Charisma, at a 20, is now a +5. Our Wisdom is still a +2, but our Proficiency is bumped up to a +3. So, all of our Deceptions and Diplomacies have a +11, which means, at level 5, we cannot roll lower than a 21 on all of our Persuasions and our Deceptions. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is good. DC 10, 100%. DC 15, 100%. DC 20, 100%. All the way up to 21, 100% of the time. DC 25, pretty steep climax, and that's only a 15% chance. Quick edit, it's actually 35. But you can't roll anything lower than a 21 is phenomenal. That is so good. To sniff out lies and deceptions put our way, we now have a +8. So DC 10's, 95% chance. DC 15's, 70% chance. DC 20, 45%. DC 25, 20%. Pretty good. Level 6. I'm gonna go back to Rogue. Taking the second level in Rogue, we get Cunning Action, which allows us to use our bonus action to do a whole lot more stuff. And as we go through this build further, you're gonna realize how many options you have to use your bonus action, and you will be conflicted on what to spend your bonus action on, as it will be very useful in very many situations. Moving on to level 7, we take our third level in Rogue. We become an Inquisitive Rogue, which gives us a bunch of new features. At level 3 Rogue, we get an additional d6 to our sneak attack, going up to a +2 d6. Our first feature from Inquisitive Rogue is Ear for Deceit. Whenever we make an insight check to determine a lie being told, we can treat that roll as an 8 at minimum. If we roll a 1, treat it as an 8. This is weird because all of the class features in other classes and subclasses, where they make a minimum roll happen like this, they treat it as a 10. I don't know why this is an 8. Sniffing out lies seems like one of the least broken things someone can do. When paired with things, it can be strong, but it is so specific to just lies being told. I would talk to your DM and see if they're okay with treating this 8 as a 10 instead. If I were your DM, I would be totally fine with that, and I would, if you didn't even bring it up, I would tell you, hey, go ahead and treat that 8 as a 10, because that's how it is for every other class across the game. If you go up to your DM and you ask them this, I would tell them on session 0 or session 1, when you talk about what kind of a character you want to play, let them know that you want to play an Inquisitive Rogue, and give them this argument where it's weird that it's an 8 and not a 10 like everyone else. Second feature we get from Inquisitive Rogue is Eye for Detail. As a bonus action, you can use your perception to spot hidden doors, objects, creatures, or use an investigation to find clues. This seems marginally useful. It's not why we're here, but I could see you potentially sniffing out an ambush before they get the jump on the party, deny them the sneak round. Maybe if you're on a mystery, you're trying to solve a mystery, you can find clues easier. But I don't know how often this will be useful. And then a third feature we get from Inquisitive Rogue is Insightful Fighting. As a bonus action, again, you can make an insight versus a target creature's deception. If you win, you get advantage on that creature this turn. And this only works if you don't have disadvantage before using this. So you can't pull yourself out of disadvantage, you can only go from normal to giving yourself advantage, which unlocks sneak attack. So you can force a creature to make a deception check, and you win if your insight is higher. If you win, you get your sneak attack and advantage on that creature. Pretty good use of a bonus, especially when you're a support player, and you kind of need all the help you can get if you're trying to hit something with weapons. So, looking at our numbers again, now that they've changed a little bit, we're also going to start including DC 30 checks. Now that we are level 7, we're starting to get into a little bit higher level of play. We still have a plus 11 to all of our deceptions and diplomacies. So DC 10, 100%, 15, 100%, 20, 100%, 21, 100%. DC 25, we have a 35% chance of passing our deception or our diplomacy. And at DC 30, we have a 10% chance. We have a plus 8 to sniff out lies and deception towards us. And now we cannot roll lower than an 8. So in total, we cannot roll worse than a 16, which is great. DC 10, 100%, DC 15, 100%, 16, 100%. DC 20, 45%, DC 25, 20%. DC 30, not a chance. That's still great. This will be immensely useful if you have a long, drawn-out diplomacy, whether you're trying to initiate peace, broker some grand deal, stop a feud between warring families, that sort of a thing. Or you lie your way out of an execution, right? Anything that helps boost our social skills and make ones irrelevant is phenomenal. Moving on to level 8, we're going to go back into Bard. We're going to go back into Bard because we'll learn 3rd level spells. Fantastic. And we get a feature called Font of Inspiration, where you regain all of your inspiration die after a short or long rest now. So you should be giving your inspiration out like candy. They only last for 10 minutes, but it is really good to give them out prior to walking into a situation that you know is coming, or right before talks begin to go south, right before the fighting breaks out, start giving out inspiration. And you can give out inspiration by, it doesn't need to be singing a song. You can give it out while talking in diplomacy, using oratory to give out inspiration prior to telling the other party to screw off, the deal's off, fighting begins, right? 3rd level spell we should learn, depending on your campaign. You're either going to pick Hypnotic Pattern or Dispel Magic. I would recommend Dispel Magic most of the time, but by level 8, you should know the kind of campaign that you're in and which spell will work better for you more of the time. At level 9, I'm going to keep going with Bard. Proficiency increases by 1. We learn another spell, which will be either Hypnotic Pattern or Dispel Magic. Whichever one you didn't pick last level, you'll pick in this level. Your inspiration dice go up to a D8. Fantastic. You get Universal Speech from College of Eloquence. So once per long rest, as an action, choose any number of creatures up to your Charisma modifier, 5, within 60 feet of you. For the next hour, they can understand everything you say, regardless of language. You can now apply your entire skill set to any creature in almost any situation. It's not the most powerful effect, but it opens up many more opportunities to negotiate and influence and use your skills to things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to use them with. And then we also learn a feature called Counter Charm. As an action, until your next turn, you and any allies within 30 feet of you have advantage on saves versus fears and charms. And a creature has to hear you to get this benefit. Really useful ability, especially as the support player. That is a great use of your action to make sure all of your other players are going to get their saves done. They're not going to be feared when a dragon lands in front of them, and no one's going to get mind controlled. Fantastic. So our proficiency increased, so let's check our numbers now. At this point, we have a plus 13 to Deception and Diplomacy, which means we cannot roll lower than a 23 at level 9. Not as impressive as when we were at lower levels, but a 23 is still really good. We still only have a 45% chance of passing a DC 25 and a 20% chance of passing a DC 30. But 23 and below is 100%. Really good. We now have a plus 10 to sniff out deception and manipulation on our end, which means we cannot roll lower than an 18. That's great. So DC 10, 100%, 15, 100%. DC 20s, we have a 55% chance of sniffing it out. DC 25s, we have a 30% chance. We even have a 5% chance of sniffing out a DC 30 lie. Great. Level 10. Before we go on, from the levels beyond 9, it's really personal preference what you want to choose from here. There are better choices specific to the game that you're in, and most campaigns don't make it past level 12, so we're only going to build this out to level 12. If you're in an RP-heavy political campaign within a big city, take another level in Rogue, get a feat, pick up one of the feats that we talked about up at level 1, namely Telepathic or Actor, if you haven't picked either one of those yet. If you're in a more combat-heavy game, there's less opportunities for you to use your social prowess. Then you can pick up either Fey-Touched, Lucky, or Inspiring Leader with that 4th level in Rogue. They're great utility abilities, and they help you as your support role inside of the party, outside of the social interactions. So level 10, level 4 Rogue, get a feat. Level 11, I would go back into Bard, and I would probably stick with Bard throughout the rest of the game. Higher level spells, more spells per day, and higher inspiration die, just better support role actions is great. You don't really need a higher sneak attack for the role that your character is playing, so having access to more spells is just going to be more useful and have a bigger impact on the game as well. Even if you're in a lot of combat, you can start getting bigger, splashier spells that just start killing other monsters. Once you get another ability score improvement, I would either bump up Wisdom if you want to get your insight up better and do better in the defensive of social combat, or I would bump up Dex if you find yourself in combat a lot more. Could take another feat as well if you feel that that feat has more utility than bumping up either Wisdom or Dex. That's totally fair as well. There's an argument to be made to make 2 more levels in Rogue so that you are Rogue 6, Bard 6. Picking up Uncanny Dodge to stay alive longer, as well as a 3rd set of expertise, is great. If you do pick up a 3rd set of expertise, put it in Intimidation and Stealth. That will make you the ultimate build for a heist. If you're in an Ocean's 11 type of campaign, straight 6 and 6 gets you there and gives you a great balance of features, and you are the perfect talker as well as the stealthy spy. You are basically 007 minus all the combat. This is one of the most consistent and reliable social characters You don't need to be level 10 before it starts popping off. This build doesn't look like a house on paper, but with a limber DM and plenty of opportunities to talk to NPCs, this is a really fun build to pilot. It is totally open-ended, getting your party into and out of trouble through the campaign. I cannot recommend enough piloting something like this at least once in your D&D career. And after you do it the first time, you'll probably want to do it a few more times, maybe tweaking some things here and there. That is our Silver-Tongued Devil, the ultimate talker. Next episode, I will be going into the Infiltrator of 1,000 Faces, kind of going with the spy theme we've got going on. Then after that, I have a doozy of a damage-dealing build. So I will see you guys in the next videos. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, feed that algorithm, please. And tell me how you would do things differently. Did we miss anything that would make us even better at insights, deceptions, diplomacy? Let us know. I'm a new YouTuber, so I'm going to be in the comments, and I will reply to any questions you may have, or any recommendations. We can talk about it. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys next video.